There are more than 3,600 known species of snake in the world, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Around 375 of them are venomous.
Whoa, watch yourself, watch yourself.
And many more are dangerous because of their strength and power, which means we often overlook what amazing creatures they actually are. With all the colors you can imagine and unbelievable adaptations to survive in their environment, here are 15 of the most beautiful snakes in the world. Like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Number 15. Albino snake. In 2017, a resident from near the Territory Wildlife Park in Berry Springs, Australia, found something very unusual in his yard. It was a species of snake called a slatty gray, but instead of being the usual dark brown color, this one appeared to have been born an albino. It had no skin pigment and was pearly white instead. But it's actually not technically an albino because it has black eyes and not pink ones. So this mutation is referred to as being leucistic. After being handed to the wildlife park, the snake was put into quarantine to ensure it didn't have any diseases that could be transmitted to any of the other animals. It's such a rare occurrence that the staff wanted to protect it at all costs. Once it was seen to be healthy, it was put on display so that everyone could have a chance to see it. White snakes are of course very unusual because their coloration makes it difficult for them to camouflage into the environment. This one would have been unlikely to have survived long in the wild, so it was lucky that it was discovered and taken to the wildlife park where it'll be kept safe. Number 14. Royal black and white snake. Also known as ball pythons, royal black and white snakes can be found throughout the grasslands and shrublands of West and Central Africa. They're actually the smallest of any python species in Africa, growing to a maximum length of around 6 feet, and they're renowned for curling up into a ball when they feel threatened. They are usually black or brown, with lighter brown patches across their body, but have a white belly with black markings, which is where they get their name from. Occasionally, albino versions are found, and they are particularly unusual because they are white with yellowish blotches. They feed mainly on small mammals and birds, which they wrap their bodies around and squeeze the life out of before swallowing them whole. Due to their size, they're quite a popular species to be kept as pets, and they are bred to achieve specific patterns that are appealing to collectors. As they lay up to 11 eggs at a time, it's easy to keep up with demand. They are relatively simple to look after in comparison with other species. In the wild, they're also hunted for their meat, but because they're found across such a large area, their population numbers are seen as quite stable. Number 13. Rainbow snake. This incredible species is known as the rainbow snake, and it's covered in so many different colors that you'd be forgiven for thinking it's fake. They are very real though, and can be found in the coastal regions of the southeastern states of the US. Their shiny, smooth back scales are bluish black, and they have 3 red stripes as well as patterns of yellow along their sides. Their bellies are usually red or pink and are covered in black spots. They're a non-venomous species that are highly adept at swimming in water, which is where they spend most of their time. They're also very good at burrowing into mud and sand, so it's quite unusual to ever see one in the wild. Very little is known about their lifestyles, but we do know they eat eels, frogs, and salamanders, and usually eat them live, head first. Rainbow snakes can grow to be around 50 to 70 inches long, and they're a non-aggressive species. There are no records of them ever biting a human, and don't even seem to get angry if they're being captured. Number 12. Red-headed krait. Native to Southeast Asia, this amazing snake is the red-headed krait, a highly venomous species that live in lowland rainforests. They can grow up to 7 feet long and feed primarily on smaller snake species. The thing that makes them stand out from most, of course, is their vibrant colorations. They have a bright red head and tail, and the rest of their body is black with blue stripes along it. Their scales are particularly smooth, which gives the head a glossy appearance. And as with anything so brightly colored in the animal kingdom, this is likely a form of warning against any aggressors that this snake should be treated with extreme caution. They have short fangs in their mouths that they use to envenom anything that they bite, and their potent neurotoxin will paralyze and eventually kill their prey by asphyxiation because they can no longer move the muscles they need to breathe. A bite can be deadly to a human within as little as 20 minutes, but fortunately, very few instances of red-headed krait attack have ever been reported. This is partly because of the remote locations where they live, and because they appear to stay as far away from human settlements as possible. They are also a nocturnal species, which means that any that are encountered during the day are often sluggish, non-aggressive, and disinterested in conflict. If you anger one during the night though, it could turn out very bad indeed. Number 11. Tiger keelback snake. Tiger keelback snakes are found throughout eastern and southeastern Asia and are the only species of snake to be both venomous and poisonous. If you ever see one in the wild, it'd be a good idea to keep your distance. They have olive green scales with black and orange spots, and their bellies are a paler shade. They can grow up to 40 inches long and feed primarily on frogs and toads. It's from the toads they get their poisonous defense, because the ones they eat are covered in toxins. The chemicals are collected in glands in their necks and can be released when they feel in danger. Usually for a snake, their fangs are in the back of their mouths instead of at the front, so it's more difficult for them to properly latch onto prey or strike at an aggressor in order to deliver their potent venom. It's for this reason that they're more likely to flatten their head against the ground and hope the poison protects them rather than being the first to attack. So it's not known how dangerous their venom is, because very few people have ever been subjected to it. Still, that's no reason to feel too confident around them. You wouldn't want to be the first person to find out. Number 10. Dragon snake. This is a dragon snake, also known as a Javan mud snake or a rough-backed litter snake. They are native to Thailand, Burma, and Indonesia, growing up to 2.5 feet long. They're unusual in that instead of having smooth scales, they have 3 rows of keeled scales along their backs that make them feel extremely rough. They're a very rare species, so not much is known about them, apart from the fact that they are exclusively nocturnal and that they only feed on frogs. They have a peculiar behavior when something approaches and touches them, because instead of trying to escape or adopting a threatening stance, they stiffen up like a board and remain frozen in place until the perceived threat has left. It's not entirely clear how this is a benefit to them, but it's most likely an attempt to blend in with the surroundings and hoping that the predator hasn't spotted them. It's been more difficult to study dragon snakes than most other species because they don't react well to being kept in captivity at all. In fact, they tend to die shortly after being captured, and no one has ever been able to successfully find a way to keep one. Seeing a dragon snake in real life is therefore an unlikely thing, but those that have say the experience is like no other. Number 9. Scarlet snake. Covered in red and white blotches with black borders, scarlet snakes are a non-venomous species that are found across the southeastern states of the US. They are small snakes, growing no more than 26 inches long, and are thought to derive protection from the fact that they look similar to other snakes that are venomous, in particular coral snakes or scarlet king snakes. The red bands never touch the white or yellowish-white bands, and the colors don't encircle their entire bodies, leaving their undersides either white, pink, or gray. They are nocturnal and spend the daytime hidden inside fallen logs or under leaves. At night, they are a silent predator and hunt small animals like lizards, rodents, eggs, or even other snakes. Encounters with humans are rare, but on hot summer evenings, they are often seen crossing rural roads in search of food. They have relatively large teeth for their size, which enables them to crack eggs that are too large for them to swallow, and also act as another means of defense if they are feeling under threat. It's another species that is popularly kept as pets because they pose no risk to humans and have beautiful colorations, and are currently not regarded as being under threat because of their large numbers in most regions where they live. Number 8. King cobra. King cobras are one of the most easily recognizable species of snake in the world. They are the longest species of venomous snake, with the longest on record measuring a massive 19.2 feet, and they are native to India and Southeast Asia. They mainly hunt rodents and lizards, but when they feel under threat, they'll stand up to any potential aggressor, including humans, and they have a way of making themselves appear huge. They can raise the front third of their bodies into the air, which can be as tall as a person, and flare their hoods. Their venom contains cytotoxins and neurotoxins that can lead to blurred vision, vertigo, drowsiness, a coma, and even death within 30 minutes of being bitten. They are amazing creatures though, which is why people risk being so close to them. They have olive green skin and black and white bands up toward their heads. The oval-shaped hood is olive green too, but has black spots between the lowest scales, and their eyes have golden irises with round pupils. They have a growling hiss unlike any other species of snake, and this is only ever sounded when they feel in danger and are preparing to strike. If you ever hear it, it's time to move out of the way as quickly as possible, because if you don't, there's a whole world of pain headed your direction. Number 7. Banded sea crate. The banded sea crate. A large part of their lives is spent in the water in order to hunt, but they'll return to land when they're digesting their food or reproducing. Banded sea crates can be easily identified by their distinct markings. Their heads are black, and they have bluish-gray bodies with black stripes and yellow bellies. The females are larger than the males and can grow to be around 56 inches long. But before you plan on trying to catch one, if you ever find one in the water, be careful because they have an extremely potent venom. The neurotoxins it contains can lead to paralysis and convulsions before death, but it's a particularly effective way for the snakes to hunt in water. Interestingly, it has been found that eels that share the same waters as banded sea kraits have actually developed a tolerance for this particular venom, and more surprisingly is the way that they hunt. While they'll attack fish on their own, they have also been working alongside other banded sea kraits and even giant trevally and goatfish, with the snakes probing cracks in rocks to force the prey into the open water, and the fish laying in wait to catch them. Number 6. Mud snake. These beautiful looking snakes are mud snakes and can be found throughout the southeastern US. They have a glossy back topside with a red and black underside, but the red reaches up around their sides to create this amazing effect, growing up to 54 inches long. Mud snakes are non-venomous. They are nocturnal and live almost exclusively in water, so it's quite rare to ever see one. They hunt salamanders and amphibians, and they have an unusual hunting technique that's led to them also being known as stinging snakes. Without a powerful bite or muscly body to squeeze their prey, they use the sharp end of their tails to wound them. The tails have no sting in them, but they can puncture enough of a hole that leaves the prey incapacitated, and then the snake can take its time eating them alive. While they usually remain in streams and swamps, there are some occasions when they'll venture onto land. It's the best place for laying their eggs, for example, but they'll also leave the water to hibernate or to escape drying wetlands during a drought. Number 5. Eyelash viper. Eyelash vipers are a peculiar species of snake that are endemic to the jungles of Central and South America. They are a type of pit viper, which means they are highly venomous, and the up to 32-inch long snakes tend to stay motionless within trees, waiting for prey to pass before pouncing. They can be a whole range of colors, from reds and yellows to greens and pinks, and combinations of multiple colors too. They have fangs that are as sharp as hypodermic needles that are used to envenom their prey or as a means of defense. But the most noticeable feature of this species are the scales above their eyes, thought to help with camouflage. These modified scales look like tufty eyelashes and make them one of the most unique-looking species of snake in the world. Despite their extremely potent venom, eyelash vipers are commonly available as exotic pets and are highly sought after because of their vibrant colors and their unusual facial features. They do quite well in captivity, as long as they are regularly fed, but it's the owners that have to be the most careful. One perfectly timed bite from one of these pit vipers would almost certainly mean death. Number 4. Emerald tree boa. Emerald tree boas are a species of constrictor that live in the rainforests of South America, growing up to 6 feet long. They rely on their ability to overpower and squeeze their prey to death before swallowing them whole. They do, however, have much larger teeth than any other similarly sized non-venomous snake, which has led some researchers to suggest they may have used to rely on them during hunting. They mainly hunt small mammals and birds that pass them in the trees, but their rate of metabolism is so slow that they only have to eat once every few months. Their name, of course, comes from their vivid green coloration across most of their bodies. Their bellies, though, are yellow, and they have white lightning bolt patterns. Unlike other species, the colors are present from birth and are quite unusual amongst other snake species in the region. Another thing that makes them different is that they don't lay eggs, and instead retain their young internally until they are ready and are live-bearing. Babies don't have any placental connection with their mother like happens in mammals, but grow in their own individual gelatinous sacs. Number 3. Red-bellied black snake. This Australian snake is the venomous red-bellied black snake. It's one of the most common ones you'll encounter in the east of the country, but luckily, there have not been any recorded instances of fatalities due to their bite. Growing up to around 4 feet long, they have brown mouths, gray snouts, and shiny black scales along the top of their bodies. Its underside is a different story though, and is covered by red or pink scales and red or orange flanks. It's also different from other snakes in the way that its head isn't a discernibly separate structure to the rest of its body. They live in woodlands and forests, usually in close proximity to water sources, and while they blend well into the background, researchers have found an unusual way to track them down: their smell. They release a very distinct and musky aroma, and to the trained nose, this can be used to locate their hiding places. Towards humans, they aren't an aggressive species and will usually try to back off. If one feels it has no other choice, it will coil up in an aggressive stance, and even then, it'll only strike as a last resort. If you are bitten, it'll be extremely painful and may require amputation of the affected area, but most effects subside within 24 hours. Number 2. Blue racer. Blue racers, also known as eastern racers, are a non-venomous species of snake native to North America. While they are known to still exist in states like Washington, Oregon, and Iowa, among others, their numbers are declining, and it's been a long time since any were seen in Canada or other northern states of the US. growing up to 5 feet long. They have white ventral scales and bright blue lateral scales along their bodies. Their undersides are paler than their tops, and they usually have orange snouts and so-called black masks on their faces. This species doesn't like human interaction, so it's rare to see them anywhere near population centers. They hunt rodents, birds, and other snakes, but they themselves are a favorite meal of many other animals such as raccoons, foxes, and coyotes. It's because of this that they've evolved to be able to move very fast across the ground, which is why they are known as racers. Even if you do spot one, the chances are it'll have fled the scene before you get anywhere close. Their resistance to being around human activity, coupled with increased construction work and the destruction of their natural ecosystem, means that blue racers are currently regarded as endangered or of concern in quite a few places. Number 1. Pope's Pit Viper. These beautiful snakes are Pope's pit vipers, a species that's endemic to India, Southeast Asia, and Indonesia. They grow up to 30 inches long and are identifiable by their vivid green bodies with paler green undersides. The two colors of green are separated by an orange stripe, while their tails are also often fully orange. As a type of pit viper, they rely on a powerful venom to incapacitate their prey. It contains neurotoxins that can be extremely harmful to humans and lead to paralysis or death. They aren't, as you might think, named after the religious icon, but instead were named for the herpetologist who first described them, Clifford and Sarah Pope. Living in trees and dense undergrowth, their coloration helps them blend in seamlessly, but locals have learned to keep their distance. They might be small, but they sure have an aggressive personality and will happily strike at anything that crosses their path. They'll vibrate their tails to warn of an impending attack, but once this happens, it's probably too late to do anything about it. Which of these did you like the best, and has it changed your mind about wanting one as a pet? Make sure to let us know in the comments section. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time!